Where do you hope to be later this year?
So I have a pipe dream that the things that our Constitution states is a world that we actually live in, and we see the good works of what that dedication and loyalty is supposed to mean for all the people that live in our country. Um,
Do you feel like that's being challenged right now?
I think that it has been not even understood for a long time. Like, instead of writing down the laws simply so that something can be presented in a manner that can be picked apart or viewed from like every scenario, they complicate things intentionally. And it gives them the opportunity to sit behind closed doors and debate what things mean case by case. And I don't think that's right.
More than just the legal system? You mean just the way our society's run?
So more than just the legal system, sure, yeah, absolutely. That's like with everything. Like, I mean, I don't know how many jobs you've ever had in your life, but I get handed a little book, and it says, "Hey, this is how we do stuff." And then somebody comes along and whispers in your ear, and they're like, "But that's not really how we do it.
Uh-huh.
Don't do it that way. Don't do it that way. Do it this way." And the accountability across the board is shot. I mean, all people do is this, but it's been that way for how long, right?
Always.
So when does it stop? How do we make it shift? How do we make it change? How do we reset the clock to keep accurate time and hold people accountable for what they do with their time?
So can I? It sounds like you're looking for something a more honest situation to work in.
Sure. Shouldn't we be able to be honest in society? I mean, if I had to say you're like, if I don't know, like, I could tell you that if you drank this tonight, you would have the noodle dream, right? So what if I gave this to you and you went home and you had the noodle dream? Did that happen because I gave you this? Or did that happen because I told you, I planted the seed, and you continued to give it thought?
Hmm.
And you continued to make it a possibility in your life?
Well, there's a lot to the power of suggestion.
There always has been. But I mean, what do I sell it to you for? Where's the honesty in that? Like, hey, I picked this up. I thought it, might be good. And but where's the honesty in any of this? What's in this product?
Well, are you familiar? I've been thinking a lot about like corporate socialism. I mean, just how um, corporations are bailed out in our society. There's a lot of there's a lot of double entendre with corporations that they can do whatever they want to do. They have all the power right now.
I guess. I mean, that's we give them our money, right? So that's what makes them powerful.
Well, the federal government bails them out.
So that's our money too. So the
Yeah.
feds give them our money and then keep them in power. Shouldn't we have a vote in where our money goes? Shouldn't we have a vote in where all that's allocated and what it's earmarked for?
So what would be an outcome you'd like to see?
People working together, more of this shit. Like, I mean, however goofy I may or may not look, um, like, just more actually talking about what's important to you. Whether you feel like you're just regurgitating shit because, like you said, it's been this way forever, or if you feel like you can actually start a conversation or get people talking who didn't talk before, they've been silenced. They've been told you can't talk about that, or these are things that we don't concern ourselves with. This is just the way the world has always been, and this is why we do this to work around it. I hope that we can unmask all of the people in our society who parade around like they're good people. And I hope that all the people who hide behind their titles will soon be hiding behind their desks and cowering on the floor. That's what I hope.
So how do you see that coming about?
Um, by making it impossible for them to continue to live in a world where everything is fine.
I mean, it's almost like this, complicit conspiracy that everybody just kind of agrees that things are fine, but really it's not. But I think that's, the facade is down now, I mean, the facade is crumbling apart.
Is it?
Well, I think that when I see people having to live in their cars, unless you've chosen a different lifestyle.
Right, unless you've made this a choice. I mean, and like for me, this is not a choice. And I literally, have to run the risk of being ticketed for indecency or anything else if I have to go to the bathroom or leaving my things unattended and coming back and not having what I had when I walked away.
So there's a lot of problems that are being ignored that aren't.
This isn't supposed to matter though, right? Like material wealth, just give it up, give it away. To who? And why?
How safe do you feel in your current lifestyle?
Positively, like that's a buzzword and a complete fantasy, man.
Uh-huh.
Like it's just something that doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Oh, it's a penny.
Well,
Sell it as copper, and you'll get like $90 worth of what everybody throws away. Copper, the best metal in the world.
how does it feel to be exposed like that?
So that makes me think about what you're exposed to. And what you're exposed to is just what you take in and notice. Like, I mean, being right here, you and I are in the exact same spot, but I'm seeing everything behind you. And if you're paying attention to it, you should be seeing most everything behind me. So being exposed to something is really an opportunity to reveal a way to help other people see from a different point of view, vantage point, perspective, or voice where they're actually seeing from, instead of putting their feet where they've been told they're supposed to stand and navigating from there.
So, but how many people actually, break the silence and talk to you and ask you about that?
About exposure and like their life and safety, or
Yeah, to actually express their concern.
a lot of people, and a lot of people I think are just as quick to give you that quick one over and like, oh, homeless piece of shit, drug addict, fucking junkie, fucking whatever. Like your life is where it is, and you're lucky you have anything, and that's fucking nice. So why don't you give that to me? Because you probably don't need it.
So they're preying on.
But I started talking to people shortly after I became homeless and asking them, their story. Everybody wants to know your story. And I've been very fortunate that people were open with me, and that through them, they helped me to grow over the last year and have a better understanding of some of the people who are homeless, especially right now during our emergency state of everything.
Truck looks for a minute like last night. That truck right there.
We have a lot of crises happening in parallel right now.
It's really weird to go from talking to like a mom with kids about a problem at a park or a beach, and then to talking with someone who like can barely hold their head up about their drug problems or their family issues or anything else. Like,
It seems like a lot of people don't want to know about those struggles to stay, so you're not going into withdrawal or.
I think, I don't know, it's that the whole trauma cycle.
The trauma cycle.
Yeah, like just the way they make us repeat things, especially with paperwork. And I think it's ridiculous. I don't think it helps anything. And then they don't have. By the tire here? Yeah. Be careful not to knock that cup over. It's full of piss. Okay.
Well, I worked in mental health for 16 years, and that was one of the problems we had. Is everybody has to keep telling their story over and over again. Whereas if you have like an electronic record, if you could share that with other agencies, you wouldn't have to keep re-traumatizing that person. It
So
could be shared.
third-party records. That's one of my other issues. Like we own our medical records.
Mm.
So a lot of my angst and a lot of my issues with society and people who are supposed to be in a higher position to care and provide for people who need a little bit of help. They don't document right, number one. So like one of the first things that your doctor will do when you walk into the office is actually profile you. So they'll, say your age range, and then they'll say like whether they thought you were healthy or not, well groomed, et cetera, and so forth. What education level you seem to be expressing by the way you spoke to them and answered their questions. And then, they'll get the records from the other doctors and they'll come to their treatment plan, their course of action. They will re-diagnose, disregard a different diagnoses, and then you get pushed out the door. Your doctor quits, whatever else. And then you're over here in this line and they don't even get the information that they were supposed to from the original facility, body, whatever. But that body has everything that you gave them, and then those records disappear, or they can.
And they get subpoenaed in court, and then they stand up as evidence when it's another person's opinion that may or may not be true.
Right. But third-party records are really important. They make it right now where it's not against the law for them to withhold that information or not transfer it. And so, like, you literally have to keep an account of something, like, with a device, or, like, you're going to end up carrying around so much paper. I met this Bulgarian woman in the Portland area, and she told a story about her son and hotel rooms and being trafficked and being sold and different things, and a lot of people just couldn't handle her outbursts and kind of the way she conducted herself on a daily basis. But she said something to me once, and that's that they give you so much paper, you can build a house out of the fucking paper they give you. Like, they don't want to help you with anything else, but they just keep running you and giving you paper.
And they don't recognize when some people, it can be a cultural thing when you need to express yourself more forcefully. If you're not used to being heard, or if you're more passionate in your language.
I've always been outspoken.
But they can say that as being behavioral, and then choose to pigeonhole you that way too. If you don't speak the same language, if you're more demonstrative,
I think that, like you were saying, like that trauma cycle, though, and if we're supposed to actually be learning from and learning about these different things that a lot of us experience, whether we actually have bouts of homelessness or living on the streets or being in unfamiliar areas or being in situations where the people in control have no control anymore, where their hands are tied, they're not even able to do their jobs. Like, the way you looked at me made me think I was just totally, like, just rabbit trailing. It was not even having a real conversation with you right now.
Just now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure who I would pin that on. I know people on the other side, people in the system get so burned out that they just kind of give up and they quit. Like you said they leave. You have to see another provider. The door, they keep going.
Or they get fired.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times when people are doing the right thing and they're actually doing their job, and that's the reason why they lose their job. It's called retaliation.
Yeah.
That reminds me of what I was thinking about before, about how you were saying how people seem demonstrative or aggressive or whatnot. Some of that comes from, I think, a point of defense, like self-defense. And we don't have to be violent. That's like my biggest thing. I've had umpteen different people tell me at different points through this, like, you don't know how powerful, toting your gun makes you feel. And people really listen when you've got a gun strapped to your side. You give them more of a reason, especially in our society today, to make you a bloodstain if that's the way you're walking around. I mean, yeah, I get open carry and everything, and like, there can be an art, there can be a real craft to weaponry and to firearms. But I don't think that for the most part they're used right, not only in the actual firing of them, but in the way that they're like the propaganda and the marketing and just everything behind it. Like, I mean, if I were expected to appreciate a firearm, I would want to appreciate the craftsmanship. So am I appreciating at this point in life the person who programmed the machine to cut the material and then the wherever they got the water to cool, and like, what do you appreciate? What are the materials? Are they what they used to be? I mean, what do you appreciate? Do you know what appreciate means? What does appreciate mean to you?
It means, well, I think of it in terms of like food, like to be aware of like what it takes to produce the food we eat, with the animals giving their lives.
Sorry.
There's a lot of hands that touch the food that you eat,
I think
to be-
awareness is key there. So appreciation to me used to mean that I was able to acknowledge something or understand a kindness or a favor that was extended to me. I appreciate that.
Uh-huh.
And then, like, the definition that resonates the most with me for appreciate, that you're going to find, like, in a book, is fully understand. Like, at what point do we fucking appreciate anything? Really? Right here, right now. God found me. Like, and that makes me feel crazy.
Well, I appreciate we have the ability to connect regardless of whatever the circumstances are, or even coming from different walks of life, that there are traits that we share that we want to talk about.
Well, I want to see a return to building a foundation instead of people feeling like all the platforms and everything are already in place and they just need to jump on one and do that job. I think that if we were actually thinking about the ladder and the rungs and who's holding the ladder and why we're climbing the ladder, that we would be making a lot more positive, forward, progressive motions. I called for people to take the courts to court, or early on in my being homeless. I wanted people to fill the halls with trials against themselves. And that way they'd stop with the fucking canned responses, the micro button pushing, macro whatever, and actually pay attention to each case as it should be paid attention to.
Uh-huh.
Not just, you got a drug charge, so you're going to stand in that line. And not just, you got a theft charge, and you're going to stand in that line.
Well, I think we need to give each other more time. Like, everything becomes, well, I'm familiar with a lot of things becoming so by rote that it's just a process. Like in the legal system or medical system, it's all just turnover, and they want more and more turnover. You only have 15 minutes to get somebody's story, and then give them what they need, and then tell them to leave, and document everything. That's not how you should relate to people.
Well, resources are supposed to be available to all of us. And sometimes you are just a body filling a chair, putting information into a system. But if you're putting information into a system and human error is permissible every day at any moment, all the information being entered becomes almost completely useless because of all the mistakes.
Except for billing and getting money out of it. That's what it's...
Oh, well, that's the fraud. I mean, Medicare fraud in Oregon alone is huge. I studied medical coding. So a lot of my angst came from my own medical experiences that went wrong. And I wanted to start a patient advocacy program. And at this point, I work for free. If somebody comes to me and they have a problem, I'll take what information I have and refer them to an outfit like Department of Human Services, who's supposed to have all of these connections. Or I'll do my own research and provide them with information from national or other accredited institutes and organizations across the nation, on whatever platform it is that they're needing help with, or whatever area of life, or I don't know. I sit out here with the birds because they don't judge me, and they eat everybody's shit.
They're a good company. So if you had a magic wand, I know some people like this question, maybe you don't like these questions, but if you had a magic wand,
I don't make
what would
myself
you
sound
change?
like this, but look at that.
What would be your wish?
Real growth. A garden for everyone to enjoy, be nourished from. Of no fucking fake plastic food in a package. What the fuck is fake meat? I mean, I get vegan and vegetarian meat, but fake meat, completely engineered in a test tube, in a lab, in a package somewhere. It's plastic.
That's where we're at to feed the
Like,
masses.
seriously?
I think
Who wants to eat that?
You'll see more of that, I think.
So they're just going to put everything in a pill, right? We've all seen that. We've all watched that movie. We've all read that somewhere.
Soylent Green.
They're just going to make everything in a test tube and then sell it back to you.
So that's what I do. I talk to people, and sometimes I make movies out of it.
Sometimes I'm not such a bad conversational companion.
No, you did great. Thank you.
Thanks for